Hi, hello, welcome back to DevOps course series. I'm Satyadev. In the last presentation, I talked about what is DevOps as a definition and where it is going to help in the agile model. And we have put a question that what is dev, what is team, what is ops, what are their activities in the previous presentation. Now in this presentation, I'm going to talk about who is dev team when it comes to agile, who is ops team when it comes to IT department, what are their activities and how they can collaborate together. This is what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. So if you go to next slide, this is what exactly I'm going to talk. Who is dev, who is ops, what are their activities. Now when it comes to agile dev team is typically, as you might aware if you work in agile environment, is a small team like 3 to 8 developers. That includes QA team as well. It's not like QA is separate. So agile is nothing but a small team of cross-functional team, which is self-organizing group of individuals who have all the necessary skills to deliver a potentially shapeable product increment. Well, before we go to the actual team members, I just want to focus on few keywords in this definition. So I already talked about small. A agile development team consists of 3 to 8 developers. That includes QA and other people. Now, when I say cross-functional, it's not just dev and QA. It is going to be like UX developer or security team, which actually works hand in hand with development team in almost like a day-to-day way. So this is what about a cross-functional team. So, and the second is self-organizing group. Self-organizing means the team, like dev team and QA team, they work hand in hand, and other members from other team, they work in hand in hand, so that the QA team knows what dev is working on at a high level, and similarly dev team knows what QA team working on. That way it is not always a problematic situation when somebody is not available at a particular time. So it's not like they go deep, but they have an idea, so that if something needs to be quickly bring it up to the speed, they can be brought very quickly. So that's about self-organizing group. So basically, again, there is another thing like shippable product increment. As you may know about agile, in agile, the development of software is done in very short intervals, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, which we have discussed already in the previous presentations. So in each, which is called an iteration or iteration. So in each iteration, the dev team is going to give one piece of software that can be used by the customer, which is the useful piece of work that customer needs. So that's pretty much what about dev team. Now, who is part of dev team? As like I said, dev team consists of engineers, software engineers, developers, quality assurance engineers, QAs, software development QA engineers, UI UX engineers, like they take care of user interface and user experience engineers, and then architects or tech leads and stuff like that. So these are basically people who work with code and getting things done. And the next person in a agile team is like Scrum Master or Agile Coach. Scrum basically, like I said in my previous presentation, Scrum is one of the frameworks that follows Agile model. It's not, Agile is a broader thing, whereas Scrum is like a framework that follows Agile, right? So we call Scrum Master. Sometimes they call Agile Coach. Basically, that person it's a person. What that person does is like, he works like a servant leader. He guides the Scrum team, which is like development team, but he won't command them to get things done. He's not like a manager. He makes sure that the development team doesn't violate agile principles. Also, he makes sure that everyone understand the theory, practices, rules, and values of agile and all those things. So he basically is there to make sure that the agile is working correctly in a proper manner. Now there is another person who is not exactly part of agile team, but again, could be could be there in everyday activities. Who is nothing but product owner. So product owner basically responsible for maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of the development team. In most of the companies, product owner is nothing but the people manager, who takes care of the people activities as well as the delivery activities. So earlier there used to be managers called delivery managers and people managers. Now, basically they are combined into one piece called product owner. Now product owner is part of agile development team, but he or she may or may not attend the develop all the activities, all the day-to-day activities, but he or she should be there present in some of the activities. The more details about Scrum and Kanban, I'm not going to present in this series. I'm going to do it as a separate thing, separate video series where you can understand about Scrum, Kanban, and how they are work together with Agile. So these are the team members that constitute Agile development team. So basically, agile development doesn't mean that just developers, development team, scrum master, and the product owner. Now, so what are the activities of agile development? Again, here I'm focusing mostly on development team. So one of the activities is as obvious like code development. So writing and maintaining source code. Another activity is version control. Version control, I'll talk about that as a separate thing, a separate series, like a Git and stuff like that. Basically, it is nothing but when people are writing code, multiple developers writing the code, they should be put into one common place, right? So that's called, and also each time they add more code, previous code should be maintained, and if they have to go back to the previous code, that should be possible. So that's basically version control system. So managing code changes collaboratively, that's what version control is. Unit testing, again, unit testing needs to be done by developers. So they actually write this unit just to make sure that their code is working as per their expectations. So validating code logic very early. This is different from test cases written by the testing team. So unit testing is basically covering the functions and classes in an object-oriented world written by developers, whereas the test scenarios that QA team writes is going to test the modules or the integration among all these modules, pieces and together as a functionality, how it is working, is it performing well. Those are the kind of scenarios where the QA team works on, whereas development team focuses on writing unit tests just to make sure their code is working as per their expectation. And then automation. Again, this is automation comes into mostly for QA team, triggering builds automatically. QA team where they automate the testing process and stuff like that. Also, building process, building of the software. For example, a developer checks in the code into a version control system, and as soon as he or she checks in the code should be built immediately, and then it should be tested with very few scenarios where it is proved to be it is working okay. So that kind of automation has to be is done by the development team. Another is SAST, like static code analysis, which is called SAST testing, enforcing coding standards and security scans. Like this is what static code analysis does. Integration testing, this is something that QA teams take care of, as I told you, like validating modules work together and stuff like that. Packaging and artifact management, creating deployable artifacts in repository. So basically, artifacts are nothing but the final thing, like in an exe file in case of Windows environment, a jar file for Java, those executable file in your Linux environment and Unix environment, or with containerization, a Docker file, which I'm going to discuss again in a separate series. So is that this packaging of the entire software into one module is called is called packaging and artifact management. Then IAC, infrastructure as code. With the cloud environment, this has become got a lot of momentum, which is to write scripts and provision environment. Basically, what it means is infrastructure as code. What it means is like what kind of hardware we need in order for this module to run, or software to run. That's what's nothing but the infrastructure. Infrastructure is nothing but the hardware. But the specification of hardware, it used to be done manually, like they used to build manually. But with cloud and cloud environments, the infrastructure building actually can be done by just writing a configuration file. So I want this much this kind of processor, this much RAM, this much hard disk, this kind of network card. So these things we are kind of configured, and once that configuration is done, when you run it in the cloud, it's going to create that machine automatically and deploy the software onto that automatically. So this is what agile development team used to take care of it. And monitoring instructions like any embedded loggings, in writing the logs and getting the logs done, and metrics in traces in the application code. So these are all the activities done by agile development team. Now let's focus on what's IT operation team. So basically ops team or IT ops team, kind of same. Again, IT team is a big umbrella under which there are several people or several sub teams are going to be there. Now basically IT operation team, ops team in short of IT operation team, is a group of IT professionals, information technology professionals. They are not software developers. They are like more towards hardware and configurations and facilitators, responsible for the day-to-day management and maintenance and support of an organization's IT infrastructure and services. So as I said earlier, like it's about hardware and making sure that the hardware works fine with security and all that stuff. The primary goal is to ensure the stability, reliability, availability and performance of the system that the business and its users depends on. So basically IT teams takes care of hardware and its functioning. So and I guess like I said, IT means like a big organization where there are several kinds of teams or people are going to be there. Let's see who are going to be there as part of IT team. IT operational manager, who oversees the entire operation team. Like he's a big manager who takes care of all the IT activities, set priorities, manages budgets, ensure the operational goals and goals are met by all the other teams. He is like a boss of the IT organization. Then system administrators, who are responsible for installing, configuring, maintaining and troubleshooting servers like Windows, Linux, Sun, whatever it is, and operating system and related infrastructure components. And the next set of people are network administrators and network engineers. So manage and maintain the organization network infrastructure, including routers, switches, firewalls, load balancers, and their connectivity. They also ensure that the network performs well in a secure and has got highest availability. And another set of people are called database administrator. Again, these are not database developers. These are administrators responsible for the installation, configuration and maintenance of security, performance, recovery of database systems. So they don't really deal with databases. They deal with the maintenance of the database system. So those are another set of people. And the next set of people are security people, like SecOps or security engineers or security analysts. So they actually focus on security of IT systems, monitoring threats, like so much of nowadays with the internet, everything is on internet, right? So because of that, there are so many threats that are happening, and they constantly and periodically keep upgrading the managing software, managing security tools, and making sure that the firewalls are working fine. These guys takes care of all the security aspects of the system, and also they respond to the security incident, and as per the security policies of the company, they make sure that everything works in tandem. Again, cloud engineers. This is a kind of a new position that's happening with the cloud environment as it is picking up nowadays. So these engineers manage and maintain cloud-based infrastructure and services on cloud platforms such as AWS, Azure, GCP. AWS is Amazon's web service. GCP is Google cloud service, right? So focusing on deployment, scaling and monitoring and cost optimization in the cloud. Again, there is another really important piece of people in the set of people who are called site reliability engineers, SREs. I'll talk about difference between cloud engineers and SREs. So these guys, the site reliability engineers, they apply software engineering principles to infrastructure and operation problems. They focus on automation, reliability, performance, and incident response, and often working to define service level objectives, SLOs. Now there is a subtle difference between cloud engineers and SREs. Cloud engineers, in a way, they are kind of back-end people. They work on the cloud and making sure that the cloud that the developers team or QA team requests gets provided to them in a cost optimal way. So basically they work in the background. Whereas site reliability engineers, they work hand in hand with the dev and QA team. So these are the team, SRE team, which actually interact more and more with the dev, agile dev teams. So these are site reliability engineers. And the network operations center technicians, they monitor IT infrastructure for alerts and incidents, perform initial troubleshooting and escalate issues, and often working shifts to provide 24. So basically these guys will keep monitoring the entire system, how they are working, are there any challenges. If there is challenge, they try to troubleshoot or escalate it, all that kind of stuff. Another set of people are help desk or service desk analysts. So basically, it's like a front end people for all these things. So like if I need a machine, I just raise a request to the help desk team. They will route it to the corresponding IT member. The IT member will talk to me back. So they are like the mediator between the IT and the outside world. And automation engineers. So this is a kind of fuzzy thing. In some organization, automation engineers sits in the IT department. They sometimes they sit in the development team as well. Focus on automating repetitive operation tasks, infrastructure deployment, and configuration management. So they know development, but not the commercial or the actual product development. They more work on the infrastructure and stuff like that. Storage administrators manage and maintain organic data storage system, backing up things, SANs, NAS, and backup solutions, and all these things they take care of. So this is about IT operation team. So, or in short, ops team, right? So now we talked about dev team, and we talked about dev team activities. Let's talk about operation team activities. I already explained, for each and every operation team member what their activities. Here is a summary of their activities. Operation CI/CD pipeline management. They work in hand in hand with the dev team and make sure that CI means continuous integration, CD means continuous deployment. So they make sure that CI/CD things are happening properly. So how CI/CD works, I'm going to talk in future presentations. Configuration management, managing software configuration changes, all these things, right? So, and provisioning infrastructure like setting up servers, containers, cluster environment, all this stuff. Environment management, managing dev environment, test environment, staging environment, production environment, different kinds of it. Dev is basically a server where development team actually keep pushing the stuff and they want to test the integrated one in their piece of software that they've written, so they can do that. Whereas test is like for the QA engineers. Staging is in between test and production, where specialized users for the sub product, they will test on the staging environment. So they are not a QA team, they are users. Before it moves to the production, they test in the staging environment. Once everything is working as per their thing, they push it onto the production. Again, pushing to the production is done by the operations team, IT operations team. So that's one of the jobs of IT operations team, activities of IT operations team. Release management, coordinating releases, and if something goes bad, just roll back the releases. So they have to write scripts to make sure that everything works fine. If there is a problem, the script should contain the rolling back steps also, deployment strategies and all that stuff. So first this component has to be deployed, then this has to be done like that. They define the deployment strategies. Monitoring alerts. So they install software like a Prometheus, Grafana, Elkin, these kind of things, where they help us, the developers, quickly know if there is a problem, and they get alerted. Again, setting up of those things are done by the operation team with the help of development team. Incident management, something went bad, and some outage has come, though they consider it as an incident, they document it and they will take it further, and they have a discussion among all the people, and they will take it further. And performing tuning and scaling, ensuring applications are performant, resilient. If the scaling needs to be done, let's say there is a component running in one Docker, let's say there are more customers coming out of that, let's duplicate this into another and load balance it. So those kind of things they will take care of. So yeah, I mean, this is the final workflow. This is how you can see that it's like an infinite loop. If you see, like the planning is done by the development and coding done by development team. Building is also going to be done by development and QA team together. Again, testing is done by the QA team. Once the test happens, this is kind of development portion. It goes to the ops team. Ops team takes care of releasing, deploying, and put it into the production, and putting monitor. Once this is done, again the new thing happens. Like again, it's like they have to work hand in hand. Again, this team doesn't need to know everything that the dev team is doing, but they should have a high level understanding of what the each team is doing. Similarly, dev team should know what the ops team is doing. So in a way, their collaboration is like a marriage. So the dev should know what ops is working on, ops should know what dev is working on. That's what DevOps is going to work together. So that completes this presentation about dev team, ops team, who is dev team, who is ops team, how they work together, what are their activities and all that stuff. Thank you very much.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe VNR Digital Learning Resource YouTube channel.